Okay, we're live. So I'm very happy to talk to Frank Holmes, CEO of HIVE Blockchain Technologies. Hi Frank, how are you doing today?
Outstanding, my friend. Outstanding.
Amazing. So today you're starting trading on Nasdaq, which is a great achievement for HIVE Blockchain. A lot of people were waiting for this for a while now. Can you tell us, what does that makes you feel, and how was the process? How difficult is it to go from the decision to go to Nasdaq to finally be listed there?
Well, it was pretty straightforward. One thing about the U.S. government, the previous administration gets a lot of attack is President Trump, but he hired Clayton as the head of the SEC, and Clayton went after the bad guys and a lot of pump and dumpers in the token and that crypto token world, but he also facilitated capital market formation and did everything to push so that things could be formed faster and get the SEC to process things faster and better. And it's worked because I was talking to the head of NASDAQ, and comments were that they've had 500 listings this year. They've had more than 10 companies from Canada, and I think that's 500 is more than in a decade. So there is a boom, and it goes to show that streamlining regulations inspires innovation, competition, and capital formation. Raising regulations stifles it, shrinks it. And the same thing with innovation. So rising taxes, rising regulations is a recipe for a slow economy. Deregulation is a great boom for economy. And right now, we're witnessing no excessive regulation coming into the capital markets.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, very interesting. I think with the Nasdaq listing, a lot of new investors will see Hive blockchain as a great investment, and I think this additional liquidity will finally help the stocks to move higher. We have seen this with the competitors. I
We're
think
still the
that's
most profitable one. Look,
yeah. I
we're
mean,
still, and it shocks me that for valuations that we should be rate higher. But I understand the difference is that they're real Bitcoin fanatics, and and a lot of them didn't really care if you're green or not. That's just the fact until Elon Musk came out and made his comments. That was the wake up call. The sad part is that we got pulled into that undertow because we've always had a unique ESG strategy. And I'm fortunate because I'm a fund manager and the chief investment officer for US Global Investors. And I recognized early in the creation of Hive that ESG would be important and green energy would be important. So I think it's important. Getting listed here also allows Robinhood investors to easily buy because they couldn't buy Hive over the counter. Still, last year, what blew me away was that in Canada, we traded 1.7 billion shares, or up more than 2,000%, and we traded 400 million on the over-the-counter market here. So I think that if we'd been listed here, we probably traded 4 billion because we have the ESG strategy. We are green, and we are still the most profitable of the crypto mining companies. So I think that getting listed here opens up the avenue for many different types of brokers that now can buy. They could not buy an OTC stock. Now they can. In particular, was hedge fund interviews I've done because I'm a fund manager and I go to conferences and doing calls. And they said, Frank, our prospectus says that we can only buy on a major exchange. And you have to get listed on a major exchange in the US for us to be able to buy. So I think that we're going to see that new, unique, broader sponsorship.
great. Yeah, I'm very excited to see this. Let's talk a little bit about your facilities. I mean, you made a, or you added some more capacity in the last few days, like 5 megawatts in Sweden. There's a new location, Roberts Force, and we have an expansion in the Bowden facility. I think like maybe 9 or 10 megawatts or so. So, can you give us a little overview about your facilities and what are you planning for expansion here?
Well, one of the first things for listeners is that when you're mining with GPU chips, it's like driving a high performance Mercedes. It's not a Ford truck. ASICs are like Ford trucks. So you need more hands on. You need more. It's just more sensitivity. So we have built with great technical people in northern Sweden. And so from that end, it lends itself that we've had that ESG strategy I talked about earlier. Well, we've done some very unique things I'm proud of. And that was that we use software to be able to tool down from 20 megawatts to 1 at a peak energy period. So therefore, it would take 15 minutes, maybe a half hour for all those turbines to click in, and maybe there's not enough turbines, so they creates a difficulty with the utility company. We're working in concert with the utility company and the local business development in Boden, so therefore we will tool down in 15 seconds, and they will compensate us, so we're not losing any of our Ethereum production, and then we come right back up to normal production. Well, that keeps everyone in harmony in that ecosystem. So that story gets told throughout Sweden. And we had our company president, Johanna Thornblad, from Sweden. She studied here in America. She came here on a basketball scholarship. She played at Kent State. She did her MBA at the University of Chicago. She worked at Fidelity. Now she lives in Barcelona and in Sweden. So we built up someone that's Swedish to be able to manage that benefit. They're contacting us. They're reaching out to us, other communities, to say, hey, look, can you repurpose this facility? And we have dormant energy. We don't have a purpose for this. And so we have had opportunities of up to 200 megawatts being shown to us. And we know that the Chinese are knocking all over the world, but the Chinese reputation really got tarnished in 2018 because they left a lot of facilities in Boden and other places with huge energy bills. They did the same thing in Quebec. So when they call up to say, look, we're being thrown out of China, we've got new equipment, we want to, no, we just don't want you, because every time there's a sell-off, you just get up and leave. And you left us with equipment, you left us just, and so we're getting invited. And that means, the strategy of ESG, being a good corporate citizen, being profitable. And in Sweden, we get to hedge. So in the annual season, as you know, as an energy expert, you get these dips in the cost of energy, and we immediately go out and hedge out 15 megawatts for the year. It's so inexpensive, but we lock in 1.6 cents.
Yeah, that was an amazing buy last year, I think.
And that's the second year. We've been able to do that. When we took control of it, of the company, there was Toby Ebel. You've got to meet Tobias. He lives close to you.
I want to meet him. Sure.
He's a remarkable man. He's a concert violinist. He played for the Munich orchestra. His twin sister plays for Vienna. And he has piano collections, antique violins, and there he is, Fiddler on the Roof. And then he became a tax lawyer. Because to be a tax lawyer, you have to understand complex math. And being a musician, he understands complex math. So he went in, and he was really the original architect of Genesis Mining. But he did not like that journey, and he's come full-time with us. And it was basically Toby, Darcy, myself, took control of the company, dropped his cost 90%, and started this rebuilding and really building up the footprint of an ESG strategy in Sweden, which now is going to be sent over to North America. And I think that we're going to get more ability to be able to come in as good corporate citizens, and we spend money for kids in education. We do everything that you would think a good corporate citizen would do.
Yeah, I mean, that's amazing, the ESG strategy. And I think you're doing some side business there in Sweden where you're talking about growing tomatoes and all these things. These are small steps, but it will be in the head of the people, and they will think about that, and they will connect Hive with a responsible energy consumer. And you said that they are asking for you in Sweden, that they have a lot of capacity there. So I think reputation is going to be very important in this mining business, because that separates the good guys from the bad guys, and I think that's going to be very big. I mean, I followed this whole strategy, the whole story from Hive since 2017. I was invested. I mean, we had the bear market. It was very tough, but I mean, what you guys created with Hive blockchain, with a more than $1 billion company, and I think that's just the beginning. Yeah, that's amazing. What happened there, the improvements, and now it's finally all paying off. The GPUs are very efficient. You get now a lot of Bitcoin ASICs. So, what is the hash rate right now you have, and where do you want to be in the future, Frank?
So the strategy this year was to beef up our Bitcoin, basically hodling as many Bitcoins we could, clean and green. And so we have spent a lot of money getting equipment that's coming in on a weekly basis. And so I think right now we're just under 600 petahash, over 500, and we will be at 1.2 exahash by August and 2.3 exahash by December, if there's no delays and disappointments out of China for equipment. But so far, we've delivered it. We've gone from 200 to 300 to 400. We're over 500, and each week we are just growing, so which is nice to see. And the next big part of that, last year, we were really challenged when we discovered last fall, that the memory card, a 4 GB memory card on the GPU chips, was just not going to start working after April of 21.
Yeah, I think that was a bummer.
Because we couldn't go and use our capex, and I was very shy about selling shares at a cheap price. Yeah, some of my peers have gone from 10 million shares in 1 year to 100 million shares outstanding. Just keep selling shares and buying equipment. Others have gone from 25 million to 100 million. I think we've increased it by 15%. So it's been, very sensitive of how we do that and what we do it. So our capital became focused on shipping cards over to China, putting on 8 memory cards, doing a swap. And we were doing this for about $150 a chip, which now are going for $500 a chip. So it was a good move. We still haven't finished the program. So what we did is, until all these 4 GB cards are gone to 8, we swapped out and started mining Ethereum Classic.
Yeah, it's going to be very profitable.
It was so luck. It was beautiful luck, because this card all of a sudden became extremely valuable. I mean, Ethereum Classic went from 20 to 150, and we were profitable at $20 mining with this piece of machinery, the 580, and so it all of a sudden we said, okay, we're going to pay all of our electrical bills from Ethereum Classic, and we're going to hodl all this Ethereum and Bitcoin, and basically that's what we've been doing. And then we launched the ATM, and we've only sold shares on up days. We sold and raised a lot of capital over $5 when it was trading over $5. So that's basically said we have a big, rich balance sheet of assets, of Ethereum and Bitcoin and cash. And today, if you look at the run rates of how much gigahash we have in Bitcoin and Ethereum, we're doing about close to $400,000 a day of revenue, ex our energy costs. So that's a great margin for 20 employees. That's that, and we can see that as we build out our exahash, etc., that it'll be $1 million a day, and that's when we're going to have the big celebration and the champagne, and we start doing $1 million a day of revenue, ex energy costs.
Yeah, that's going to be huge. I mean, I think Bitcoin and Ethereum, if they go up a little bit more, I think we will see this very soon, because I think in Ethereum you have more than 3,000 gigahash running. I think so. Right.
Correct. Now? Yes, okay. We do. Okay. It's more than an exahash of Bitcoin mining when you do the conversion. But what's really important, what we're doing now, is we're going to upgrade all of those AMD chips. We're going to upgrade them to Ferraris, to Bugattis, to Formula One, Mercedes racing cars. I mean, that's our vision. And we have a very simple concept that Ethereum 2.0 will happen. When it happens, I've been hearing about this story for 4 years now. It just happened in the first part in December of 2020. All it really did was take supply out that made Ethereum outperform Bitcoin. if you have people coming in to buy on a regular basis and you shrink the supply, Metcalfe's law says it grows exponentially. And so I think as Ethereum 2.0 is basically pushed along and more people are good at staking, then we're going to have the biggest pool of Ethereum to stake. And that's what I want to have. You know, it would be so sweet to have 100,000, 200,000 Ethereum coins to say, now I put my poker chips on the table and I become a significant player. So that's sort of that vision. But what happens when proof of stake does come in? And we're not ignoring it, and we think it's going to happen 2 to 3 years out. And what we want to do is be able to get into high gross margin business. And we believe two things are happening that are very important from a macro point of view. One are smaller data centers are going to become very valuable for communities protecting their data. Germany does not want to have their data center in Sweden with confidential information, and the Swedes don't want it in Norway, and the Americans don't want it in Canada. They're going to want their own data centers. And with the advent and the growth of AI, and to be able to upload every bad person from Interpol and facial recognition, this is only going to grow to make society feel safer. We know the troubles with that is big bad government, but it's in motion now. And if curious listeners can look at metropolis.com or IO, you can see what's going on. And it's happening in New Zealand right now. And so I think that these data centers, which we put on our balance sheet, are going to become very valuable. And when we bought, originally did the deal for GPU-1, it was less than 300,000 a megawatt. Riot just did a deal for 2 million. So I think we're, early in understanding the concept of what we're doing. And so we want to be able to take these high performance chips and do rendering, movie business, artificial intelligence. The profit, what Amazon charges you today for that business is as profitable as mining Ethereum is today.
Wow, that's insane. Yeah, I mean, you have a lot of GPUs, and yeah, maybe you will increase this hash rate there. So that makes a lot of sense. And it's not going to be that volatile.
Yeah, and you're right. It's a very important point you just mentioned. The revenue from that high performance computing is much more stable, and it sort of blends itself. So I think that positioning can take us to a $10 billion company.
Yeah, that would be great. Yeah, we're looking all forward to this one. I mean, in the last few weeks and months, we had a lot of offerings there. A lot of dilution was happening in the mining space, not at HIVE blockchain. So what are you thinking when you're looking forward to make new acquisitions, buy new equipment? What is the strategy there? Raise new capital, or taking debt, or what are you, or sell coins there?
So first of all, for your listeners, we're very early. So this is my opinion. We're very early in this game. We are like 95 in the internet when you had Netscape and AOL, and they're not around today.
Yes.
So it's recognized. We didn't know Facebook would evolve. We didn't know Google would evolve. Yahoo came out and it's basically vaporized itself on a relative basis to what Google's done. So we're trying to stay very agile in how we grow in this sort of blockchain. And we look at the blockchain industry as being very significant. So that's why we made a strategic investment in DeFi. Because and immediately DeFi has gone on with a product that's $100 million of assets in Sweden that's in the crypto business. And DeFi will grow. NFTs will grow. Staking will grow. And so we think that the future and the backbone of the growth in blockchain is really going to be around the Ethereum protocol. We think that Bitcoin is a store of value, and it validated the significance of being able to transfer wealth and store wealth. And I think it's never going to go away. And it's going to be like that Andy Warhol piece of art that you bought for $1,000 print that's now worth $200,000. That's what's going to happen. And maybe it's going to be worth $2 million, your Bitcoin. But the fact that you can buy a fraction on PayPal of a coin means that you can start today accumulating on a simple dollar cost program of $1,000 a month. You can buy it in a fraction. So this will only grow and make it interesting as that alternative asset class and investment. But the Internet of Things and blockchain, I think, is going to be really around Ethereum. And Ethereum has many more scientists, many more coders around the world, basically an ecosystem of 30,000 really passionate scientists. So I think we, as Hive, does not want to give up on Ethereum just to go mine Bitcoin. We want both. And we want to be where the DeFi is going and where the NFTs. Right now, we're working on a very exciting NFT business. So it's and the people behind it and the content they have. If I could turn around and crystallize that, it just means it's going to grow. All these stable coins that are coming out by the big banks, the currencies that central governments are talking about, it's going to be on the protocol of the smart contract, predominantly of Ethereum. So that is how we think we're going to grow this business in that crypto space.
Yeah, I think Hive was always a early mover or first mover, first publicly traded miner, and I think it makes a lot of sense that you're looking now for new ways to generate revenue. I mean, this space is growing so fast, and I don't think that it makes sense to say, okay, we're gonna be only a Bitcoin miner for the next 10 years. I think it's evolving, and you should be open-minded, to look into DeFi, into all these Web 3.0 things.
And just the other thing, that I think you do a wonderful job, an amazing job of educating people. And I love, I've redone your presentation. Have you seen my triangle of how prices happen every day? It happens for gold stocks too.
Yes, I've seen
here's the price of the commodity. What is your hashing capacity today? And what is the 180 days out your capacity? And this triangle moves around. It's not a perfect triangle, but it moves around with the commodity price or the coin price at the top. And,
yes.
and so 90% of the time, if the coin is up, then your stock will be up, your stock will be down. But the market will pay more for your 180-day out hashing power than it will on the current hashing power. And so we think this way, Lucas. We want to make sure we're balancing that we're the most profitable company today and on a per share basis. And then what's our future footprint 180 days, 12 months out? And so in New Brunswick, we got everyone busy going to 70 megawatts, building another building on our campus, and engineers are working on those drawings, et cetera. And what do we have to do to take it to another level? And so I share with you that there's only one real analyst in the business outside of what you're doing on YouTube. It's Wainwright. Wainwright has a great crypto analyst. I'm shocked that the analysts from the other brokers, they don't have one. And when they come to analyze when Hive first went public, they didn't understand how to analyze them. I think you got it. You got it so well. Is the market pays for the future a higher rate than the current, and so you must always be showing that you're growing. And if that is highly correlated, you've got a nice tilt to it, a delta to it. Then all of a sudden you'll get a higher appreciation with your stock price. So I said earlier Netscape, and we're early, and AOL, we're 95. That's where I feel we are, because right now we only also have one analyst on Wall Street. They're talking about getting other people. So what happens when they get 5 analysts and 6 analysts and 7 analysts? This business is just going to grow by institutions all of a sudden want to have a bigger position in it. And I want to make sure that whenever they hear and they think about it, that Hive is on their shelf space. Like when you go to the grocery store, you don't want to look down deep in to bend over to buy the food, and you don't want to reach too high. You want it at eye level. And so how do we position the story of Hive at that level so that it goes into the portfolios? Because I believe we're going to see more and more growth. I also see the CEOs are much better. When Hive first went public, there was one other investment banking CEO that I really thought, understood it, the capital markets, and you've interviewed him, Andrew Kegel. And today, the other CEOs, they're much more savvy about capital markets, about data centers. They understand, they have a thesis on Bitcoin mining and Bitcoin itself. They're extremely articulate. So that means more institutional money is going to come into the space.
Yeah.
And that's very bullish.
Yes, I agree here. I think we're very early, and sometimes we're angry about, okay, the stock is dropping, but when I look 1 year or 5 years or 10 years, I mean, that could be the next Amazon or something like this. We could be, I mean, Amazon went in the 90s from $1 to 100 and then down to 4, and it's now at 3,000 or something like this. And that's how I see these companies now. I would be cool to look into the future right now to see in 10 years where these companies are. I think it's only going to grow this space, and
What's also important is millennials coming into the capital markets. And what we're going to witness now, and there's some big things happening in our industry that I believe, my opinion, is that gold is shifting and going to China. And China needs gold to have trust behind their digital currency. The G7 countries are worried China's going faster than them on getting digital money out. So they're knocking Bitcoin, Ethereum, and doing everything they can so they can come up with their coin. And you know this well, in 2018, JP Morgan trash talked Bitcoin, Ethereum every time they could until they came up with their own stable coin in February of 2019. And they're bullish now. They even have funds in the business. Same thing with Facebook. No one could talk about it. No one could advertise about it until they came out with their Libra coin. So I think that's what we're wrestling with on the big shift. So gold is shifting to China, and they need that gold to support the value and the trust of their currency, which who knows will happen. But the Saudis have told them they don't trust their paper money. They would trust digital gold. So that's what they're doing. Bitcoin mining is coming to North America and to Scandinavia, and the pools are coming over here. Better accounting, better standards of care, everything the institutions want. Now all the crypto mining companies are getting consumed with green and ESG strategy. This is very, very positive for the industry, these big tectonic plate shifts, in my opinion, that are taking place. And I give you this from my gold business. The other part of this shift is my vintage, my age. When we first got in this business, it was basically mutual funds that you looked at to invest in, and you had to go to magazines. And we're going to go through a shift today of the biggest wealth transfer in the world. $10 trillion is going to go from baby boomers to millennials. And those millennials have grown up with digital money from video gaming. That's why them coming into the stock market and what they've done to GameStop. It's because they're used to. They went to GameStop. They drank the coffee at Starbucks. They ate the Big Mac at McDonald's. They know what the food is. So they're much more accepting to Bitcoin, Ethereum, and a digital money concept. So that's why I believe on these big mega trends, we're early and we're going to see. Now you add in all this money printing and paper, and it's taking place. And I totally agree with Michael Saylor. And by the way, he's done a phenomenal job, an outstanding job of leadership. He's extremely bright and articulate of pulling in all the CEOs of the mining companies to come up with a voice to create a higher standard of care, of transparency, and still function decentralized. There's no one paid organization. We all huddle together on signal calls, and then we have had one basically big webcast. And so I think he's done a remarkable job. These are all part of the equation for bigger institutional money going to come into this industry as it goes through the shift. Now, I have another product, as a fund manager. It's called JETS, the JETS ETF. Now,
I know that.
I learn a lot for HIVE. What I saw last year in March, that this product crashed, and I said, well, how are people learning about it? Like, where's all the volume coming from? All these minnows. Oh, Frank, it's Robinhood. Robinhood? Well, where are they getting their research? And they said, they go on the internet. And did you know that after 9/11, the airlines around the world shut down, and they fell 70%. And a year later, they were up 80%. And did you know after SARS In 2003, they fell 70%. A year later, they're up 120%. And after '08 crisis, they fell 70% and they were up 80% a year later. These young people are educated at Citigroup Bank, et cetera. They're savvy. They are taking a longer term speculative bet, even though it's more volatile. So we know at the time, you can't get it now, but Robinhood used to have a publish how many shareholders you had. And we had 25,000 of those millennials buy jets around $12. It went to 28. Buffett blew them all out. Now he hates Bitcoin and he hated jets and he left tens of billions of dollars on the table. So these millennials are smart. And what we saw with jets is that if you have in the ecosystem little buyers coming in, picking away, then come the tunas, then come the groupers, then the salmon, then the sharks, then the whales, and you have a complete ecosystem. So today, Jets is now listed in the London Stock Exchange for Europeans to be able to buy it. It's listed in the Mexican Stock Exchange. It's become a global brand. And when I saw what was taking place, I realized it was YouTube. So I was finding out, and you built your business model around YouTube.
Yes, I think it's. I mean, I learned everything about Bitcoin on YouTube. I mean, I've read books, but I started with YouTube, and I'm still watching YouTubers, not the traders and all this stuff, but more the educational stuff. And I think it's a great source for education. I mean, my parents they don't believe this. They're very conservative, Germany and so on. But I teach my children, watch YouTube. You can learn a lot, but you have to filter. That's for sure. But these new I made a lot of money in the last few months because of this bull run, and that was because of YouTube. I learned everything there, and I haven't learned that in the school to make money.
It's amazing. It really is. There's a young guy named Graham Stephan tells you a story. Have you seen his presentation?
No.
Oh, I'll send it to you. You'll love it. He has under 30 now has 2.5 million followers. And he shows his ad sharing revenue, how he's making 2.5 million. See, that's the digital world. Like Bitcoin, Ethereum is part of that digital world. And Hive is positioned so that if you want to make it in the space, when you buy Hive, you get both Bitcoin and Ethereum on our balance sheet. And that's been very important of how I want to position. Yes, there's other great Bitcoin mining companies, et cetera, but I wanted to make sure for the gold investor that came over. So a lot of my gold followers, I have 100,000 followers in 80 countries. A lot of them used Hive as their proxy, and I've advocated 2% weighting in this alternative asset class and still 10% in gold in a diversified portfolio. And do you know in Germany is the biggest concentration of retail investors owning gold?
No, wow.
And they have gold mining conferences prior to COVID that 2,000 people would come out to in Frankfurt. And I thought it was just remarkable because friends of mine would go over to this conference. They asked me to go and be a keynote speaker to talk about macro things on gold. So when they finally open it again, I'll talk macro, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and gold.
Yeah, I mean, we had the Weimar Republic like 90 or 100 years ago. So I think that's why people here like gold and silver, and me too. I mean, I was first an investor into silver and gold before I came to Bitcoin and to mining stocks.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. So, Frank, the Q1, or I think it's the Q4 financials. When can we expect these for Hive? Because
in the next 3 weeks. In the next 3 weeks.
Okay. I think it's going to be a great quarter, the first quarter of this year.
Yeah, if you like, which I love what you do is you follow those hash rates, and like I try to tell, it's public, and it's easy. If someone, it's not at Starbucks, you don't know how many coffees were sold, but if you know what the hashing power, which we've disclosed, and you know the price, you would know that we made more in February than we did the previous quarter.
Yes, I mean the DeFi craze, the fees, they were crazy. I mean, the fees they will now drop, or they are now dropping because, right now is not that much activity on the network, and then there's the London hard fork. But I think after the London hard fork, I expect a rise in the price because you said they want to burn some Ethereum, some Ether there. So the fees will play a less important role, but I think price will move hopefully, and so the revenue will rise. I think again for Ethereum miners.
From your lips to God's ears.
Yeah, we will see, but no one
But I
knows.
believe you. No, I'm teasing you. But no, I totally agree. Every event like this Ethereum 2.0 will fall off a cliff. It's not true. They're taking supply out of the system. They took 5% of all Ethereum out of the system. Boom, Ethereum pops up.
Yeah.
Why would I ever stake? I got so many calls as please stake my coins, stake my coins. But why would I do that? I got to make more money on the price appreciation, which I did for the shareholders. So I think that every one of these things is just going to add value and sort of the merit to owning and maintaining and holding our Ethereum.
Great. Do you have an additional 5 minutes or?
Sure. For you.
Great. So that's amazing. So what is right now the strategy of holding and selling these coins? Do you sell more or?
No, the only time we had a surplus of all those bonuses, we think we sold 1,000 coins at 4,000.
Oh, that was a good.
It was a good trade, and it was a bunch of like said those extra gas fees came in. So we said, okay, mathematically, we have a quant model, and we look at the standard deviation moves over 20, 60, and 180 trading days. So whenever things go up over all different timelines, more than 2 standard deviations, you should be selling. And anytime it falls below, you should be just hodl as much as you can. But what we've done this past is predominantly use Ethereum Classic to cover our energy bill and salaries. And I still don't take a salary through this whole journey. You know, I put my money up and bought stock. I got stock options, and I run it like I'm running an ETF business. For me, but it requires much more time, much more hands-on. But I'm learning so much. And it keeps an old mind like mine young and vibrant. You know, that's what's important.
Yeah, I think you're doing it. You're CEO at US Global Investors. You're CEO at HIVE Blockchain. I mean, you said you're an 2 or 3 years ago. You said you're an interim CEO, but I think you're now full CEO, and you will stay with HIVE Blockchain. I think so. I hope so.
Well, thank you. What I'm looking for is we interview a couple of people to be the president and chief operating officer, because what happens is what I've found so far, I can get someone that's very skilled at data centers, and I can get someone that's very skilled at understanding Bitcoin and Ethereum, the ecosystems and history. And then I can find someone very knowledgeable capital markets, but it's hard to find someone that has all three. And I think the CEO has to have that curiosity to be in all three. But right now we have a phenomenal group, Barrage out of Croatia. They're all engineers. They have their team up and running our facilities with us in northern Sweden. They're a phenomenal, great group of professionals. We've got some other experts in Canada. Now the GPU one, great team. Phenomenal team for us. That team allows me to leverage to $10 billion market cap because I can grow my revenue with them. And so every morning we huddle, afternoon we huddle. We're functioning at another much greater level that I feel so good about. But we don't have a ton of employees, and I'm very focused on this. I want to make sure that when I first looked at the royalty model and applied it to the mining model, I want to make sure that we're functioning as fast as possible to $10 million of revenue per employee. A couple of times we've seen where we've been up to $15, $20 million of revenue per employee. Gold royalty companies like Wheaton Precious and Franco-Nevada are $23 and $21 million of revenue per employee. Goldman Sachs is $1 million. So it's called your efficiency ratio. And I want to make sure that we're always focused on that in running the business, that we're very efficient. So it allows us to deal with the downturns, these big corrections that take place. You don't have to lay off people because you're very efficient. Your margins may contract, and that's okay because you maintain that key core person.
Yeah, I mean, to stay lean, I think it's important because you never know, is there another bear market coming or maybe not. But we will always have this volatility, and I mean, you have the experience from the bear market. I think that's very important. I mean, in this business, when you hire a CEO who does not understand the business, I mean, he can yeah, within 6 months, you can destroy this business because it's everything's happening so fast. If you buy the wrong machines or whatever, yeah, I mean, it's not an easy business. I think the CEO of Bitfarms, he said to me that yeah, one year in 1 year in crypto is like 10 years in the traditional industry or so. So yeah, it's happening very fast.
Very fast. And it's exciting. I share with you, it's exciting. And to see how people reinvent and think things through. And it's moving at such a rapid rate.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, Frank. So, one last question for you. So, what are you doing when you're not CEO? What are you doing in your, yeah? What are your hobbies? I mean, you're running. That's what I know. I have seen this on Twitter. You were very
Yeah,
active there.
I ran the half marathon in Austin 2 months ago,
Wow.
uh,
Okay.
and I'm very blessed because I have a 5-year-old daughter. She's going to be 6 in August, so I'm going to be 80 when she's 20, graduating from school, university. So I better stay young.
Yeah,
I better stay,
that's good.
working out. And I'm a big believer that if you surround yourself with good people, good things happen to you, not for you, but they happen to you. And if you surround yourself with good young minds, good things, you learn new things and do things. So I think that that's a big part. I've been very blessed with good DNA to stay, athletic. And like you measure your performance every day, you look at your coins and your production, my fund performance. I look at my weight every day. I think a great line with Elon Musk was, biohack yourself. He hacked himself to know that after 5 hours, if he doesn't get 5 hours sleep, he starts making bad decisions. Everyone should biohack themselves. We all have different DNA, and we should know, how much sleep do we really need that's deep, balancing carbohydrates, proteins. I'm very focused on that. And I'm also a member of what's called YPO, Young Presidents Organization. And it's a phenomenal organization of like-minded CEOs and very diverse businesses. But it's grown rapidly from only a few of us to over 60 interested in Bitcoin and Ethereum. So that's exciting to see that the growth of that. And I do a lot with that group because you're sharing knowledge and information around the world. And so that helps me stay young at mind in addition to my heart. And now I bought a new house, buying art. Just bought some beautiful stuff from the 16th century religious art. That's what's cheap right now.
Okay.
So people are sort of gone anti-religion and etc. But so if you want to buy great value, it's stuff from the 16th, 17th century. So I'm interested in that in addition to contemporary modern art. So they're the things I do.
So yeah, maybe you will create or buy some NFTs or so. I think yeah, that could be also
If
very
I get
interesting.
this NFT I'm working on, oh, it's so exciting. It's really exciting because you're going to know the content. You're going to go, wow, I know that content.
Okay, great. Yeah, we're exciting for this. Okay, Frank. So thank you very much for this interview. It was really great to talk to you. I hope we will have you again here on this show because my channel, the mining investors, there is only growing, and yeah, I think it was a great talk to you.
Good. Well, I'm happy. Thank you for being a loyal investor through all the ups and downs and having the courage and the conviction to believe in the industry, but holding on to your high position. I have never received so many thank you letters and being the top gold fund manager in the world. I never ever received so many words of encouragement and compliments as I have through the Hive journey.
Okay, so I will stop recording here, and yeah, we can chat a little bit.